Welcome. Today's class is going to be a 60-minute yoga practice for Libra. The moon is in Libra, and Libra rules the lower back and the body. Just as a quick review, in case some of you are like, I'm not a Libra, what body part am I, right? And just to check in, like hopefully you have all the important body parts. Some may have been removed, replaced, or otherwise had some kind of life experience, right? But in general, we have all of the energies of the zodiac in the body, in ourselves. Some of us maybe have bigger heads or stronger thighs or stronger low backs, right? So I like connecting the zodiac with the body because if you think about it, if you were to practice a practice for each of the body parts, whenever the moon, for example, is in that sign, you would take care of your whole body in a month, right? And you would have a very complete sort of practice for yourself while changing it up every day so that you care for each body part. So real quick, Aries is the first zodiac sign. It rules the head. Then comes Taurus, the neck of the bull, right? And then comes Gemini, hands and arms. Some of you may connect with that if you're Italian. And then comes Cancer, the chest, right? Chest of the crab. And then Leo, the back of the heart, or we say the heart of the lion. And then Virgo, belly of the virgin. Then comes Libra, which we're doing the low back, the back of the scales. Libra is a balance or scales. Then comes Scorpio, the sexy parts, all of the sex organs and the groin area. Sagittarius rules the thighs and hips. Those are my centaur people. And then Capricorn, myself included, the knees. After that, Aquarius rules the lower leg and ankles, and Pisces, feet of the fish. So some of you have been on this zodiac journey with me before. Today we'll be doing things related to the low back. And because we can't disconnect body parts, we'll be taking care of the whole self, but just with a special view to the back. So let's get started in a comfortable seated position. You're welcome to lean back on something if it's helpful to feel supported, especially for your back. So if you have a wall or a chair, you're welcome to lean against that. And then I like to start by taking in my environment, even if I'm familiar with it. Notice colors, shapes, things that are left out, and things that don't need to be moved right now. And then close your eyes if it's comfortable and see if you still notice a quality of light behind the eyes. Shift your attention to your inner landscape. And since we were talking about the zodiac and all the body parts from head to toe, take a brief scan. Start at the head. Notice sensation, any tension, heaviness, or even lightness that you feel. And then go down to the neck, the shoulders, all the way down to the toes. And it can be sometimes helpful to take an inventory, asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Excuse me. One of the wonderful gifts that the practice of yoga and Ayurveda share is to notice without judgment. So you can assign qualities of feeling or sensation like rough, smooth, dull, heavy, light, without the judgment or positive or negative attached to it. And since we're paying closer attention to the back, you might be more aware of that area, especially if you were gardening or working outside this weekend. And so after your body scan, perhaps bring your awareness to your natural breath rhythm. Feel yourself, this three-dimensional being, having a three-dimensional breath. So as you breathe, you might notice movement in the front, the side, and the back body. And take in only as much air as you need. It's not about breathing more, it's about noticing and enjoying your natural, quiet, easeful breath. When you're ready, open the eyes and shift back so you can hold yourself up on your hands and free up your legs so that they can swish a bit from side to side. So one of the features of your lower back is that it's really this middle point between the upper and lower body. So twisting can often feel good unless, of course, things are in an acute phase of something, right? So take it easy as you go side to side. And the next time your knees fall to the left, go ahead and walk your hands around towards the back. You may have done this posture before. You can either hold yourself up and kind of wiggle some space in the sides of your waist, or if it feels good, maybe lower one or both elbows to the floor. Sometimes in a restorative practice, we'll cuddle with a bolster. So if you have yours nearby, you can absolutely grab it. And then walk back up, swing your knees around to the other side so you can try the same move on the right. And sometimes the second side has to look different, especially with twists. Often we have one side where it feels very open and spacious, and the other one has some more constriction in it. That's okay. And walk your way back up. Bring the soles of the feet together, the knees wide. Feel free to hold the ankles or the shins and then gently hinge forward. You might come back up to straight and then hinge forward again. And just for the purposes of feeling into this hinge, this space that is the connection between the upper and lower back, just see if you can keep your back relatively strong as opposed to rounding it for the moment. Nice. And then if you decide to hinge forward and stay, you can feel free to round into your back. You might feel the sensation more in your upper back when you do that. And see if you can notice any spaciousness in the low back. Slowly come back up to center and maybe cross the legs if that's more comfortable. We're going to take a side body stretch to each side. So walk the right fingers out, bring the left arm up and over. Big side body stretch. And then open up, reach across so that the arms get a little bonus stretch, and then arc to the other side. Side stretch for your right. And then we'll go another time. If you want to keep the legs crossed like you have them, great. If you want to open them up for a seated wide leg, it might feel a little different this time. When you change the legs up, you can either reach to the side or you can reach towards the toes. Some of you have arms long enough to grab, and all of that just feels different in the body. So it's stuff that you can play with. And then go to the other side one more time. All right, scoop the legs up, shake them out, and then bend your left knee in and out to the side for sort of a, it's like a tree pose or a number 4 on the ground. And sometimes we call it Janu Shirshasana for a seated fold. We're gonna be in a dynamic movement next. And you can either just simply move and breathe naturally, or if you like and it feels comfortable for you, you can lean back and inhale and lean forward and exhale. That means it's gonna be a quick breath. So if that feels uncomfortable to you, just stay where you are. And it's a Kriya that looks like this. You're gonna keep your arms forward, lean back a little bit, lean forward and blow out. So really warming up this connection, this mid space in our body, the lower trunk. And again, if the breath added to it just doesn't feel right, skip it. Try 3 more, 2 more. Last one, lean back, breathe in, and as you exhale, come forward. Let go of any control you have over the breath and fold over the leg any amount. And then walk your hands up so you can switch the legs. Now your right knee's out to the side. We'll let somebody back in. Okay. And then we'll start the Kriya, or the dynamic movement, to the other side. So when you're ready, lean back and then lean forward. And it doesn't have to be a big move. It can be super small, or you can go a little bit more exaggerated. Try 3 more, 2 more. Last one, inhaling back. Exhale, lean forward and fold. And then walk yourself back up. And come around onto your hands and knees. Feel free to pad the knees if you have a blanket nearby. And start moving between a rounded cat back and a tabletop, or if it's comfortable, release the low belly for cow pose. And start to go back and forth. So this is one of the most, I would say, after bridge pose, which we'll do a little bit later, one of the most prescribed PT exercises for the back. And sometimes if you're doing it for PT reasons, you'll be a little bit more intentional about how you're moving. But for now, see what feels good and see what helps you feel most fluid in the spine. Nice. And then pause that action, and then let's go side to side. So you're making a little C curve, kind of like you're wagging your tail, look over one shoulder, and then curve over to the other side. And you can either wag your tail alone, or if it's okay, doesn't make you dizzy, you can add the head, creating a little bitty side bend for your lower trunk. Nice. And then sit the hips back any amount. Go only as far as the knees let you for a comfortable resting shape. Maybe it's child's pose, or maybe you're up a little higher with the forehead on the floor or on the hands. And if your belly is close to or on top of the thighs, you might be more aware of the breath moving into the low back. This is one of the awesome benefits of this shape. And return to your hands and knees. And go sideways so that you're on your left knee. You kickstand so it's out helping you stay upright. And your right leg is going to extend for a side plank variation on your left knee. Now you can keep your arms straight up in the air, or if you like the side body stretch, reach over towards the ear. Feel all that length in the side body. Excuse me. And then engage these muscles in the side of your trunk and see if you can lift a leg any amount. Maybe you bring your hand to tap the top of the thigh. You might feel some feelings in the glute, side of the waist. Nice. And then bend your knee that's in the air and see if it's possible to grab the foot for a quad stretch. If it's not, you might like to just hang out there or bring the foot back down to the floor. And you'll feel a slight back bend happening here. If you want to exaggerate that, you certainly can. And then release that side down slowly. Give yourself a chance to wiggle and then change sides. So side plank with your right knee down now. Left leg extended. And maybe your arm comes close to the ear. Big stretch for the side body. There's nothing fancy you need to do with your breath, but as best you can, breathe in and out through the nose. All right, get ready to engage the side of your waist now and lift the leg, tap the thigh with the other hand. Nice, a little squeeze, a little strength. And then bend the leg in the air and reach back and see if on this side you can grab the foot. Don't do the funky chicken dance just to try to grab the foot. If it's there, grab it. If not, don't worry about it. Nice. And then when you're ready, release down. Give yourself a chance to shake it out. And for the next movement, I'm going to move my blanket off to the side. We're going to come up into a bit of a squat. Now, squatting means different things for different people, but in general, the rules are try to have your feet on the floor and your knees bent. Now, you could be squatting down low with the forearms on the thighs, and for me, this actually feels quite nice in the low back. If your knees let you bend a lot more and you want to come down to more of what's in the yoga traditions called a malasana squat, that's fine too. But we want some space and maybe some gravity pulling on the spine just to relieve the low back area. Wherever you are, take a few breaths. I'm going to switch the angle of the camera. And then from your squat, If you can reach the floor, great. If you have blocks nearby, you might grab them so that your arms are a little longer. You're gonna lift the hips as if to straighten the legs-ish and lower the head for a standing forward fold. Now you don't have to straighten your legs all the way. In fact, if you bend your knees, this will feel like it's more about the back rather than the back of your legs, right? And then bend your knees a lot more and return to your squat. Maybe it's that half squat with the forearms resting on the thighs, or maybe it's the malasana squat. Feel free to use the block if it helps you stay steady. And then slowly lift the hips again, standing forward bend, whatever your version of that is. And then one more time, bend down into your version of a squat. Little bit of a blood pressure moment, right? Some of us going upside down and back up. And then straighten out the legs, standing forward bend. From here, walk the hands to the tops of your thighs, bend your knees just enough that you're supporting yourself, and come on up to stand. Take the feet apart, wrap your arms around you, and twist side to side. And you're going to lovingly pat yourself, especially with your backhand against your kidneys, right? Kidneys are located in the lower back. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, they're your batteries. So Libra rules the kidneys as well. We want our batteries to work. If any of you have ever had a kidney infection, you know that the juice and the batteries of your body are done. It's only the couch. Nice. The next time you're turning to the left, turn this into a hip circle, right? Which, even though it looks like the hips are circling around, hopefully this feels nice in your lower back area. Again, loosening up this connection between the upper and lower. Change directions. And then come on up to stand. Feel free to give the shoulders a little shrug. All right, we're standing. Thank goodness. Shift your weight over to your right foot and start to get lighter on the left toes. And bring the knee up towards hip height in front of you for crane pose, one of my favorites, Balakekasana. Now, something that can happen, and you're probably not doing it, I'm exaggerating here, is when you lift the knee forward, sometimes people will push the pelvis forward, and that creates maybe a little feeling in the low back. And it's not wrong. Your body knows how to do this. You can try to stand here for a little while, but to feel a little bit more in integrity and strength, see if you can keep the head, the heart, and the belly more or less in line, and use your belly muscles to help pull the knee up. All right. From here, maybe reach the arms up overhead. Sometimes that adds a little challenge or load, especially to the low back, which is supporting you. And then go ahead and lower that side down, shake out the legs, and we'll try the other side. So yes, there's some balance involved here, so be nice to yourself, especially the second side. Things might look a little different. Try to lift the right knee towards hip height. Use the belly muscles, feel the back strong, and then maybe lift your arms towards the sky. All right, go ahead and lower that side down, shake it out. At any point, if any of the other little movements feel good, try that. Now we're gonna add a bit of a dynamic movement to this flow. So shift back over to your right foot, lift your left knee up, crane pose. You can keep your hands on your hips, especially until you know what's going on, but A little bend in your standing leg might feel nice because you're going to kick back the lifted leg and send your chest forward for a warrior three or flying warrior pose. Here, your low back has to work extra strong. Use the belly muscles, engage them to help support you. And then you're going to pull your left knee forward to return to crane pose. At any point, feel free to touch down or take a break. If you want an extra challenge, take the arms up overhead. And then as you teeter forward, keep those arms reaching forward. You can change your mind if you decide you don't like it, and then go back and forth a few times. It doesn't have to be a big move, and the toes can stay closer to the ground. But see if you can pause at each end of this movement, this range of motion. All right, when you've had enough fun and your right leg is tired, let's try the other side. Shift over to the left foot, crane pose when you're ready. You choose your level of enthusiasm here. Maybe your arms are up overhead, and then teeter forward with the chest, back with the leg. Hold your warrior three strong, Virabhadrasana 3. And then pull your right knee forward. Remember, a little bend in your standing leg can make this a little more stable. Try to be playful as you wobble. Nice. And when your left leg is starting to get tired, step it down, shake it out. And then step wide on your mat. You might turn sideways, toes out, heels in. Keep your head, your chest, and your belly more or less stacked again, and then bend your knees for goddess pose. So this may feel more like a leg pose, but hopefully you feel some integrity here through the low back. A little bit of an engaged belly here, and then option to take the arms out to the side. If you want to challenge your low back more, take the arms straight up overhead. So when the arms are out wide, it kind of spreads the load out differently, right? So anytime you change up the arms, you'll feel this perhaps in a different spot. You choose. Notice what happens as the heat starts to rise. Can you stay calm? Can you keep smiling? And then straighten the legs, lower the arms. All right, shake out the legs. All right, we're gonna go back to some dynamic stuff. So for this next part, have your left foot forward and your right foot back a little bit, and then bend both knees. Sort of a staggered squat. It doesn't have to look any particular way, but what I want you to think about is in goddess pose, we had both legs, both arms kind of doing the same thing. Now I want you to have the legs doing something different. Those of you who were used to do martial arts or are involved in that, you might notice this is sort of like a fighting stance feeling. And then push off your back foot a little bit and see if you can spring forward onto your front leg. Stay playful with it, and then play with how far down are you bending into your squat, and then push off your back foot. You don't have to fly for very long, but just notice how this feels. When you've done a few on the first side, change sides, stagger a squat, bend your knees any amount, and then play with lifting off of your back foot and shifting the weight. Anytime you do one-sided stuff or asymmetrical stuff, it's going to challenge the body in a different way. So even though there are lots of great things about, both sides of your body, we want to challenge it for strength purposes. Maybe you squat a little bit lower. Notice how that feels. Okay, so for the last few rounds, we were kind of moving forward with our squat lifts, if you will. Now I want you to see if you can turn a little bit sideways. You don't have to be totally sideways. Maybe it's a little bit of an angle. And instead of moving forward in the direction of your, say, belly button, maybe go sideways in the direction of your side hip. So it might look a little bit like this. You might squat in your staggered squat and then kind of push sideways off of your back foot. So you're kind of going in a little bit of a different direction now. Notice if it feels more stable, less stable, more fun. You can play with the angle of your foot so that things feel stronger on that side. Play with how low you're going before you press off. And try as best you can to breathe in and out through your nose. Nice. When you've done a few on that side, switch legs. Staggered squat. And remember, instead of launching forward, we're going to kind of launch sideways. And use your legs. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be big. Notice what feelings or heat you're creating. Notice if you want to challenge yourself in a different way, maybe lower down in the squat. Nice. And then give that a little break. Some of you might be like, let's do a little something like this. And try a forward fold over the legs, feet any distance apart. Give some space to your low back, so feel free to bend the knees. All right, and when you're ready, make your way slowly back up to stand. So all that was sort of a warm-up for this next move, which is half moon pose. Now, some of you who've been taking yoga classes in a traditional setting, myself included, for a long time, usually you get into a warrior stance and then you, with your legs really far apart, you try to push off your back foot, which may or may not be helpful, and then balance like something like this to the side, right? Which can feel awkward, sometimes not so balanced, but also sometimes fun. So what I invite you to do today is try a little bit of a different entry. So from your staggered stance, and if you have a block at home, sometimes those are handy somewhere near where your hand might land. But what I propose is that you don't have your legs quite so far apart. You stagger them in your little squat. Squat down as much as you like. Power through your legs and launch yourself a little bit sideways, like you were just doing, except now you might kind of pause in that balancing half moon shape. Now, if it didn't quite work out the way you like, maybe turn the toes in a different way. One of those ways is maybe not pointing directly at the edge of your mat. Most people like a little bit of an angle to their foot so that when they land in the shape, the hip is a little happier and maybe feels a little stronger. And if none of that is quite working out, just keep trying to balance from your staggered squat to one leg. Nice. If you're enjoying the half moon balance, awesome. You can come out of it and try coming back in again and see if you feel like maybe you're coming from this stronger place of using all of these muscles in your legs to bring you up. When you've done some exploration on the one side, switch to the other side, and you might start simply with that staggered squat movement to your other foot balance. Maybe you get a little lower. Maybe you reach for your blog or your book or the floor. Maybe you pause and hold the balancing half moon. Reach your opposite hand to the sky. Notice all those side waist muscles working. Nice. Maybe you lighten up so that just the fingertips are on the block. Nice. Awesome. When you've had enough fun exploring all the half moon poses, my hope is that that was something new, different, or interesting. Go ahead and bring the hands down to the floor and step back to downward dog or tabletop, something where both sides are working together again. I like downward dog for this, but if you don't want to be upside down, come onto your hands and knees or in a puppy dog stretch. That can feel nice too. Both puppy dog and downward dog can also help you feel like your spine is getting a little bit of traction or pull. Nice. And then come on down to hands and knees. Oh, and all the way down to the belly. Take your time. Oh, Emily's making us work today. Take a moment when you get on the belly to just notice what it feels like to be belly down, to be in the chest. And you might also feel yourself like a crocodile breathing into the low back. All right, hopefully you have enough room. You can straighten your arms out in front and straighten your legs out behind you. I want you to draw the belly button down towards the floor, so you're kind of pressing the low belly down. So you might feel your buttocks kind of clench and firm. And then lift your feet, your head, and your chest up off the ground. Keep your hands on the floor. And then lower yourself back down. All right, now we're going to just do one side at a time with opposite arm and leg lifting. So lift your right leg and your left arm, any amount, up away from the ground, chest also lifted, and then lower. Same thing other side. Lift the right leg, excuse me, the left leg, the right arm, head and chest follow, and then lower down. Try one more time to each side. And anytime you do these cross body movements, you're toning the psoas muscle, which is the only muscle connecting the upper and lower body. Can you believe that? Otherwise, we're just an upper body skeleton and a lower body skeleton just hanging out, doing a jig. Nice. Rest down and maybe give your butt a wiggle. And notice how your feet and legs are on the floor. For most of you, probably you feel the tops of your feet on the ground and your kneecaps. See what happens if you roll the thighs in a little bit so the big toes touch and your heels might kind of fall out like you're pigeon-toed on the ground. And for many people, this actually creates a little bit of extra space or relief in the low back, rather than having yourself be all straight down and creating a deeper arch in the back. If you don't like it, undo it. You can always backspace, delete. And then we'll do one more thing here on the belly. Go ahead and bring your tops of feet and kneecaps back on the ground. Take your arms now by your sides with the palms facing down. Firm the low belly against the floor again and lift the feet, the head, the chest, and the thighs up for upward boat. Now you can keep your hands flat on the floor if you like it, or float them up away from the ground. Notice the strength required in your back to do this. But it's not only your low back that's working. Try to straighten your knees. Notice the legs, the buttocks. Try to straighten your elbows. Notice the arms, the upper back and shoulders. Nice. And then when you're ready, lower yourself down, slide the hands under the shoulders and press your way up. Try a cat back or maybe a child's pose, something where you're counter stretching and curling up into yourself after that arch work, back bending work. When you're ready, press the hands into the floor. Help yourself up just enough that you can let your legs escape. It might feel good to swish them from side to side a few times. Okay. From here, you're gonna roll yourself down onto the back. Oh, squeeze the knees in towards the chest. Or take happy baby with the hands to the outside edges of your feet and roll from side to side. Notice yourself rolling over the low back. You might feel some bumps and some space. It might feel heavier on one side than it does on the other. It might feel good to roll. Okay, let the feet fall to the floor now underneath your knees and prepare for bridge pose. I like to call this the world's most prescribed PT exercise, not just for the low back, but for knees, hips, and other things. Have the arms alongside the body and then press into the floor with your feet and start to peel the back off the ground. Lift your hips away from the ground any amount. Now imagine your shins driving forward towards the wall in front of you. As you lift the hips, notice, just like in the belly down postures, it's not all about your low back. Your buttocks are squeezing, your legs are working, your thighs are working, and the muscles of the trunk too. Notice where you feel your breath move. And then when you're ready, lower yourself down and counter stretch however you like. Ooh, some people like to squeeze in. And then get ready for one more round of bridge pose. Feet flat, arms alongside the body. As you're ready, press down and lift the hips up. Feel free to stay in this version with both feet on the ground or try the asymmetrical version with one foot kicking to the sky. So whichever foot, notice all the feelings that have shifted as you try to hold yourself up with just one leg. When you're ready for the other side, bring that leg down, maybe lift the other one. Use the arms to support you. And then come down onto 2 feet, press into both feet so you can hold the more symmetrical shape for a moment, and then lower yourself down and take a counter stretch of your choice. All right, draw your left knee in towards your chest. Give it a good squeeze and extend your right leg down towards the floor. Wind relieving pose. Switch sides, bring the other knee in, the opposite leg long, wind relieving pose. And then switch again. Left knee into the hands, right leg long, except this time bring your chest up towards your thigh. Engage the belly muscles and hover your right heel an inch or so off the ground, if possible. If that's too much for the low back, bend your knee. And even if it isn't, try it for a second. When your leg is straight, the lever is longer, so the load is more. When you bend the knee, yes, you can rest your heel on the ground, but it totally changes things for the low back. Both are great, they just feel different. Now, if you can, reach your arms forward. So you're hovering, you're no longer holding onto the knee. And then straighten your left leg to the sky. So you're making an L shape with your legs. Now there's a lot going on here. You can backspace delete at any point if you want to keep going with me. We're going to move just the left leg, the one that's currently all the way up in the air. All right, you're going to lower it down. Hover right next to the other one, low boat pose, and then lift the same side back up to the sky. Now you can change your mind at any point and bend both knees. See how that feels for the low back, right? Maybe a little less stress or challenge for the low back, a little more focus on the belly muscles when you have the knee bent. You choose. Try to lift and lower a few more times. Nice. Next time you've lowered into low boat, pause, hold, and then draw the knees in. Give yourself a break. We still have the other leg to do. Don't laugh during yogi ab time. It's much more painful. All right. Hold the knee with the right hand, hold the right knee with the hands. And extend the left leg out. Bring the chest up. Now you're using the belly muscles. Engage here in the trunk. Maybe reach your hands out in front. Maybe straighten out the right leg, making that L shape. Remember, you can bend one or both knees. And then lower your right side down to hover next to the left. Bring the same side back up. Lower it back down. And lift it. Try to come up and down at the same speed. That's quite the challenge. Take a break whenever you need. If you're still with me, try one more. And then hold the hover, half boat. Strong. And then squeeze the knees in. Let that all go. Nice. From here, rest your feet back flat as if you're getting ready for bridge, except we're not. You're going to take the arms out to the side across your mat. Scoot your hips a smidge to your left and straighten out your right leg on the ground. You can bring the left toes to the right knee and the right hand across if it's within reach to grab the knee. And then draw the leg over, roll into the twist. And hopefully that little scooch of the hips before we twisted means that you feel relatively neutral here as you twist. If not, you can come back up and scooch more to that side. You've probably heard me say this before, but this is why I come to yoga. My favorite part. All right, roll yourself onto your back. Now you're kind of cockeyed on your mat. So bend the knees, bring yourself back to center, and then scooch your hips to the right. Straighten your left leg out of the way and bring the right toes to the left knee. Maybe grab the knee and then roll over into the twist to the other side. Gently roll onto your back again, scoot your spine back to neutral. If it feels good to do a little bridge lift here, try that. And then it might feel nice to do a pigeon stretch for your hip. So since we're on our backs, you can cross your left ankle on top of the right thigh and either hold it here or reach through and grab the back of your right thigh and rest your head back down. And then release the leg, unwind, and set up for the other side. Cross your right ankle over the left thigh and either hold here, if that feels enough for you, or see if your arms are long enough. You can also use a strap behind the thigh for reclined pigeon pose. And release that side, take the feet wide and swish back and forth a few times like windshield wipers. If there are any other movements you like, perhaps another squeeze of the knees in or another moment in happy baby, give yourself that. And if you're ready for relaxation, see if you can find a blanket or a pillow, something, even just a small amount of lift for underneath your thighs so that when you extend the legs long, your legs aren't pulling so much on your low back on the ground. Once you've found your restful shape, feel your body get closer to the earth, softening against the earth as you relax. Let go of tension in the jaw, the face, the hands and the feet. And give yourself permission to rest. Notice yourself here on the floor, back resting on the earth. And feel yourself connected to the earth, supported by Mother Earth. And before you move, ask yourself, how can you support yourself as you move into the rest of your day? What food or activity or non-activity, non-doing might support you most? Our backs are so much a true and symbolic place of support. And just like you support others, you also know how to support yourself. You know what feels good. You know what you need. So as you make a little promise to yourself for whatever it is you need more of for tonight, draw your knees in, give yourself a hug. Thank your luck for hard work it does every day to support you. And then roll to one side. Do the old lady roll to the side. This is the supporting your back roll to the side. And then press into your hand and come on up. You can get up off the floor like that for a really long time, old lady or not. I thank you so much for your practice, your presence, and for trying new things. I hope this practice supports you, and feel free to return to it. It'll be in the online subscription probably in about an hour. And I wish you a wonderful rest of the day.